You are listening to Vitruvian Man with Jesse and Josh.
Welcome back to Vitruvian Man. And as usual, I am joined by Josh.
Me and Jesse, we're in hell. We live in hell.
Yeah, this season has been fun.
This is pretty rough.
We hope that someone's learning from this, but because obviously we're learning a lot, but it's been rough. It's been hard to do.
Yeah,
this,
these are some real fucking dickweeds.
They are. But we've got a couple of fun things coming up though. You and I are going to go to, how would you describe Saturday?
So it's my friend's father died, I think it was a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point. And this is an annual memorial party that he throws for him.
In like Lake County?
In Lake County, yeah. And he invites a bunch of punk rock bands up and he gives out free haircuts.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So he's cutting hair all day?
Yeah, I mean, if you want a haircut, he's got some shears. They're not like, custom cuts or anything like that. They're just, what part do you want shaved?
That could get weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I think his son was like, that's gross.
It is.
And it kind of is. You're not cleaning that thing in between.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, in other news, this is very important. Probably the most important news of the year. Josh and I are going to see the Wu-Tang.
It's for the kids.
Dude. Wu-Tang touring with Run the Jewels.
That's the dopest part, is that those two are teamed up. That's going to be so fucking good.
I love Killer Mike.
Yeah, Killer Mike's the shit.
I mean, I like him as a person, but I like his music too.
Yeah,
so,
all the way around. All those guys.
Going to be amazing.
It's going to be so close.
Never seen either band, so it's so hot.
We got great seats. I'm really impressed with them.
Yeah, it's never been to the Chase Center, but
me either.
It'll be fun.
I don't think I've ever been to like a stadium show. I don't know if I've ever been.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I've been to a lot.
I avoid them.
In the 80s, I didn't know any better.
Sure.
So I saw a lot of metal bands like Judas Priest and Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And Pantera, but back in the day, they were fine for me.
Yeah.
I saw Rush a bunch of times.
Well, I guess that's true. I saw Rush and the Melvins.
Oh, you did?
In San Jose.
Damn, what an opening band.
I was so high, dude. I ate like a full ounce of mushrooms.
Oh,
I was out of my fucking mind.
That sounds like a terrible
idea.
idea.
It was insane. And the Melvins, they're opening for Rush. They got booed off stage.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was not great.
Oh, no. I saw Primus open for Rush in Oakland.
I can totally get that.
That worked.
But the Melvins...
Yeah, no, the Melvins is super heavy and slow and grungy and
they didn't have the equipment to fill the stadium.
Oh,
it just didn't fill it.
Oh, that's too bad.
But Rush,
yeah,
the Masters of Time, dude. Those guys were fucking amazing.
My wife is one of the only female Rush fans.
Yeah, right. There's 4 of them.
She actually can recite the lyrics from heart. Yeah, so she's. Of course, it's more the later stuff that's more mellow that she likes. I like the earlier stuff that's more heavy. But anyway, go ahead.
And I do think we should go to Cypress Hill.
Oh, yeah. I saw them at the Greek Theater, and it was dope. It would be so dope.
Just fucking stinking like dead skunks all over the fucking place. It's going to be so awesome.
Yeah, the Sticky Icky shall be had at the Fillmore.
Yeah.
Probably should just
go. I think we should do that.
It's going to be amazing. Get some ramen.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay. Josh likes ramen, if you guys don't know that, so... Josh is a ramen aficionado.
Ramen is good.
Ramen is great. I actually wanted to give a shout out. I was showing you the analysis of our downloads.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And I wanted to give a shout out to the United Kingdom. Because, believe it or not, 17% of downloads of our podcast come from the United Kingdom.
That's insane.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That there are, I mean, of course we know there are smart people in the United Kingdom, but it's kind of interesting that people in the UK are interested enough about the crazy American politics to actually listen to politics podcasts and stuff like that. So
that's dope.
Thank you, UK listeners. Appreciate you bearing with us through this awful times. So we'll be moving there soon.
Yeah. Save a place.
So,
Save a place.
Please do. Speaking of horrible people, today we are covering Russell Vought. So Russell, it looks like it's pronounced Vought. I think the entire world would say Vought. But the thing is, everything I watched and listened to, they pronounced it Vote. So.
Somebody was all, it's Ott with a V, so it's Vote. Like, what an asshole.
So his full name, Russell Thurlow Russ Vought. Thurlow. Yeah, is his middle name. I don't know what that means. Wait till you hear his parents' names. He was born in March 26 in 1976. So he's a Christian conservative, as many as you know. Some of this stuff, it's actually hard to find a lot of info on him, like some of these guys we're talking about.
Yeah.
Very, very little information about him, even recently. So like his bio is going to be pretty thin.
He's a self-professed Christian nationalist.
He is. He worked in the first Trump administration.
OMB, right? He was in the same position.
So. Yeah. He served the same position July 2020 to January 2021. So for whatever that was, 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah. He was born in New York and raised in Connecticut. He was born to Thurlow Bounier Vought, an electrician and U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and Margaret Flowers Vought, an elementary school teacher. I'm going to say that again. Thurlow Bounier Vought is his dad's name. Something that's already got to raise a red flag.
So, what did you get any info on the parents?
No, there's nothing.
Nothing.
Couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, he mentions his dad and mom, and their struggles to make ends meet as working Americans. That's, I find that hilarious.
What the fuck?
That as if he gave a shit about working Americans.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's going to work extra hard to make sure working Americans are fucked. Is what he's
right
do.
Up the fucking pooper. Like, everything this guy does is fucking working Americans.
Yes, yeah. So he got a BA from Wheaton College, and he also got a JD from George Washington University in 2004.
Fucking George Washington give any asshole a goddamn JD.
He doesn't appear to be dumb. Like some of these guys we were talking about. He's
a serious person.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Which makes him even more terrifying. Russell Vought's certainly one of the most dangerous people in America right now.
Yeah, I agree.
He served as vice president of the Heritage Action, the lobbying arm of the Heritage Foundation. From 1999 to 2003, Vought was a legislative assistant for Phil Gramm. I didn't know that. So he worked for Phil Gramm. He said that though he developed a love for public policy, seeing how it could be used to help people of this country live freer and more prosperous lives, he said. So what he's talking about...
This is a bunch of fucking code words.
Yeah,
right
no,
there.
it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, freedom. See, when these people talk about freedom, they don't actually mean free speech.
No.
Vought is one of the champions of using the military to quash protests.
Right.
He is right at the top of that list of people that wants the military to stop protests.
Yeah.
Think about that for a while. That's pretty terrifying.
So now, as far as I don't want to get ahead of things.
Yeah, you're good.
I was like, he and his group is responsible for drafting all the executive orders in advance, right? Like,
yeah.
He's the one that had them drafted.
And obviously a major, let's say, facet of 2025 is Russell Vought.
It's his like,
right.
He was the architect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now, so how long has he been involved with the Heritage Foundation?
So let's see here. From 2010 to 2017, Vought was vice president of grassroots outreach and policy initiatives for Heritage Action for America.
So he was involved with Heritage Foundation when they were against Trump.
Yeah. Yes. But obviously Vought and people like him understood the power that Trump had to shift the country towards their agenda.
Yeah.
It's so far beyond like what is Christ-like and what isn't, right? Just there. I mean, there are people, we've seen them interviewed, that think Trump is a disgusting person. They don't like a thing about him. The only thing they like about him is that he's willing to further their agenda.
I mean, that's pretty much everybody in his current administration.
Right.
I mean, Marco Rubio said that. J.D.
Yep.
Vance said that.
Yeah.
I'm sure this asshole said that.
Yeah.
Did you get any clips of him or hear any clips of him talking about Trump prior to his support?
So that I couldn't find. I did find ProPublica specifically Molly Redden did some really great reporting on Vote.
I heard somebody interview her, and I really want to read that article.
Oh, did you watch that interview? There's actually a religious podcast that's actually liberal. Did you watch that one with Molly Redden?
Is it Faithful Politics?
Yeah, actually, I liked that.
That's the one I heard.
Podcast.
Yeah, I like that too. I was like looking at it. I'm all not left, not right, but up. I'm like, that doesn't bode well.
No, at first I was like, oh shit, this is just right wing bullshit.
Yeah, but it actually.
But no, I liked them.
They were solid.
They had Molly Redden on, who's unabashedly reporting the truth about Vote. So these people did not have any agenda to curb how bad a person that Vote is.
Yeah, that was really good.
Vote talks a lot. I mean, there's not really much else to say about his bio. You know, I mean, he's there. If you look at Wikipedia and the articles about Vote, there really is almost nothing about his childhood.
It's interesting. This is a rhetorical question, but because I found the same thing with Nick Land and Curtis
Sparse,
Yarvin,
to say the least.
It's like, do they scrub that shit? Do they make an effort to hide that? Is that something that the billionaires are facilitating?
I mean, that would make sense. That would be a fairly inexpensive way to whitewash what's happening.
You're right. Right.
It wouldn't cost a lot of money.
No, I mean to them.
That.
Yeah.
Although Vote has said out loud that tech has become too woke. So it'd be interesting to find out if he was willing to use tech to scrub stuff about his own biography. So.
Oh yeah, they're fucking scrupulous bastards, man. These motherfuckers.
Yeah, tech has become too woke. So.
Well, so do you know when he said that? Because that was the whole thing around like Gamergate, right? That was the beginning of that whole fucking thing, and now it's swung so far to the right. I was just reading an article about, or it was an opinion piece, some guy that was graduating from tech, and he's like, all of the people in tech are now super right wing, and it's due to the fact that the left has not bothered to try and recruit them in any serious manner, and the right has. The right has put in serious effort in turning that whole part of the fucking the educational system into a right wing fucking mill.
It's working.
It's
too.
Fucking insane. Yeah.
So a lot of the worst things that I heard Vote say were from the ProPublica leaked interviews.
Yeah, there was some bad fucking things on there.
Yes. Here's a quote I had to read out loud. And this is a famous one that Vote said, but I have to say it for our listeners who haven't heard it. We want bureaucrats to be traumatically affected.
Yeah.
Vote said in the videos obtained by ProPublica. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down so that the EPA can't do all the rules against our energy industry because they have no bandwidth financially to do so. We want to put them in trauma. So let's set aside the fact that he wants to put civil government workers in trauma. That's a horrible thing to say.
To intentionally put anybody except for him into some sort of fucking trauma is an awful thing.
Yeah, but set aside the human trauma he's talking about, just listen to what he said about the EPA.
Yeah.
Right? We want to shrink the workforce to these government organizations down so threadbare that essentially they have not just no money, they don't have the manpower or the, let's say, even will to hold these institutions in check.
Yeah.
I mean, Nixon formed the EPA, as we mentioned, in the 70s. EPA, if it weren't for the EPA, the way that our corporations would have been running roughshod over the environment these last 4 decades or so.
The lead would still be in the gasoline.
I mean, yes.
In paint. I mean, the IQ drop that came about because of lead would have never fucking stopped.
Yeah, I mean, it's
fucking insane.
It's awful. Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, dude.
I mean, I think we knew about who was the child molesting guy from Florida, Matt Gaetz. We knew people like Gates, and we know that Elon Musk is a piece of shit. Some of these names were kind of in the ephemera that we knew about.
Yeah.
I think Vote is the most deadly of all these guys.
He's the one that has a really bad combination of power and smarts and an agenda. Like he has a plan. Like fucking Musk doesn't have a plan. He's got an ego. He's got an ego. He's got an ego. But this guy and this guy, it's like an ideological fucking agenda.
Yeah. So
Christian nationalist, dude.
that's largely the extent of his bio. So we'll talk about Vought's theories.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
So that's the thing that makes him so dangerous, right? Vought sees the president as a king.
Yeah.
And that even if Congress, let's say, approves a budget, the king does not have to sign that budget. Vought believes that the Christian nationalist agenda can and will be carried out by Trump in every single way at the expense of all other freedoms.
So where is he getting these ideas from?
See, that's the part I couldn't nail down. I couldn't figure out who influenced Vought because none of the articles I found actually talked about that. I'm not paying for the New York Times. That's a right-wing organization, but they had an article about Vought. The thing I couldn't figure out is who's influencing Vought. Do you have any insight to that?
No, I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
So, I mean, Vought, we joke about hillbillies in the South that vote for Trump. This is not Russell Vought.
No.
Russell Vought is intelligent, like you said, a serious person, and extremely dangerous because of his right-wing Christian agenda. And we're talking about all facets of American society. We're talking about abortion. We're talking about peaceful protest. We're talking about schools. We're talking about DEI. We're talking about how racism is even taught in our country, right? This is one of the guys that wants to whitewash our history books even more than they are now.
So, I mean, I would assume that all the laws that have been passed regarding that, like in Texas and Florida, are based on Heritage Foundation propaganda agenda and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, like, I mean, is it fucking, is he a trad calf? What's his... What's his?
He calls himself a conservative Christian,
but he doesn't talk about what particular brand of Christianity.
That's the thing. I could not find anything.
It's so fucking weird.
Either written or in video form that really did like peer into him the way that we know a lot about Bannon, basically.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a lot of good articles about Bannon. There isn't a lot on Vought. Did you see exactly Trump's quote about Project 2025? By the way, this has to be said out loud. Before Trump got elected, Trump said, "I haven't read it. I don't plan on reading it."
Oh, yeah.
So let's break that down a little bit here. I don't think Trump reads anything.
No,
but
absolutely not.
But I mean, it's hilarious that, I mean, a bald-faced lie isn't just a bald-faced lie when it came to Trump talking about not knowing what Project 2025 was. It's not even a lie. It's that his way of assuring us is that he's not going to read it. That doesn't assure me at all. Yeah, it actually makes me feel a lot better if you fucking did read it.
If you had the ability to read. Because he's really not saying he's not going to read it. He's just saying, I don't read. Give me a picture. So. The thing, and we did cover this when we went over the Project 2025 thing. It's absolutely insane for him to deny any involvement when that fucking 900 page document mentioned his name 300 times.
Yeah.
Every 3 pages they mentioned Trump.
Yeah.
Of course he fucking knew about it.
Of course he did.
And anybody who thought any different is either, pardon my French, fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Or like an evil asshole.
Yeah, I think, I've heard a lot of liberal friends of mine talk about how the Democrats blew this election. Now, could you say that the Democrats for the last 40 years have been spineless? Yes.
Absolutely.
You and I are Democrats, we would agree that the Democrats have been spineless.
I'm only a Democrat because there is no other option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is no other option. Libertarian is not. We've talked about libertarians, not my thing. So, but the thing is, yes, spineless. But a lot of my liberal friends have been telling me how the Democrats blew this election. And it's like, I will push back on that every time. It's not that the Democrats did this well, right? For example, when Hillary was running against Bernie Sanders, right, the Democratic power structure fixed it so that Hillary would beat, right? They gave basically Bernie Sanders no chance.
Right.
And he was the one that polls were showing could beat the Republican candidate at the time.
Dude.
Right. So the Democrats literally, let's say, jackknifed that entire Bernie Sanders thing, and that could have been a way much different country had Bernie Sanders been elected.
I blame that election on both Hillary Clinton and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Those are the two. They fucked America. Those two fucked America.
Right. And so we both agree that the Democratic power structure is fatally flawed. However, if you look at the horrific things that Trump says and does, what is the counter to that? Saying that Haitians are eating cats and dogs, a simple Google search, the first result tells you it's not true. So what do the Democrats do to mitigate insanity? Nothing. They have no mechanism to mitigate insanity.
The problem is that they don't. The left isn't. The left is not fighting. The only people you have actually out there that are actually
ACLU
doing something is AOC. Right? She's the only one that knows how to message.
Right.
She's saying the right things.
Right. She's not afraid of anybody. She's
like the true heir to Sanders at this point. Because
right.
There's nobody fucking else out there doing.
She's actually
things.
touring right now with Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
I saw.
Hakeem Jeffries, fuck that guy. When he said,
no, I don't know much about Hakeem Jeffries. What did he say that you didn't like?
What really fucking pissed me off is like when shit went down. I can't remember what the specifics were, but it was like there's nobody that. He said something about God is on his throne. That was like his entire rebuttal to the whole fucking thing. Like, shut the fuck
Trump
up.
Represents God.
Yeah. Well, no, Hakeem Jeffries is on the left, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Trump had done something. Like he was basically making a play saying, I am the king,
right.
Something like that. And Hakeem Jeffries, his only response was, no, the Lord is the one on the throne. I can't remember the specifics.
I see. Okay.
But I was like, dude, shut the
Trump
fuck.
Can't be the Lord because the Lord is the Lord?
Yeah, well, he might be in power here, but the Lord is on his throne. Come on. There's no fucking rebuttal. And you have people like fucking Nancy Pelosi, who's a goddamn criminal.
Right.
She's an insider trading fucking hoe.
A lot of those Democratic power structure people have benefited from insider trading.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Many of them. So, not all of them. I don't know how many, but it's a lot.
I mean, fucking
Josh is angry.
Fucking Biden, like his problem is that he is hella fucking old.
Yeah, he would have lost for sure.
But no, like even before that, like he should have stuck to his fucking guns. He said, "I'm a one-term president" in the beginning, and then he fucking ran again. Fuck you. And at the end of the day, he did not go out and get into the Oval Office every fucking week and talk about what he was doing and who he was helping,
right.
The bills that he was passing, the shit that he did for the working class. All the fucking stuff that he did.
Although that was all freely available in the media.
But that's not the point.
Yeah.
No, the point.
You're saying he didn't trumpet enough.
He didn't get out there and say it.
Yeah.
All that information was there, but you need to fucking have a fucking mouthpiece out there saying it.
I agree.
And then him like fucking pulling the whole thing, he should have fucking dropped out immediately after the fucking debate.
Well, let's slow it down just for a second here.
All right, fine.
This isn't me defending Biden.
No.
This is me attacking the Democratic power structure.
Yeah.
Democratic power structure should have been grooming somebody the moment Biden took office the first time.
Absolutely.
So they should have had an excellent young I mean, maybe not Kamala Harris because she's got too much negative energy attached to her. But
if they'd started the fucking thing, it would have all gone away.
If they'd actually groomed the way they did with Obama. Obama was relatively obscure before he spoke at that Democratic convention. It was 2004 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they'd have groomed someone like Obama, then we would have some of this problem wouldn't have happened at all. They wouldn't have needed Biden to run again.
Right.
Basically.
Well, they totally could have done that with Kamala, like starting at the beginning of Biden's fucking tenure, right? If they had started grooming her and putting her out in front and having her actually doing things instead of treating her like a fucking regular vice president and shuffling her off into the background,
right?
And then fucking bringing her out and basically forcing her on people. And I think that she would have been fine. But
except she doesn't poll well. That's probably, slow that down real quick here. She does not poll well amongst black people, and she doesn't poll well amongst men.
I think that would have changed if they had actually made an effort to make that change in the beginning
So if they'd have like started
term.
from the very beginning,
Yeah.
saying this needs to be our next candidate,
or not even just like introducing her
Right.
as a fucking a mensch, you
Right.
know, like getting her out there. Because
Right.
who else is out there? Fuck Gavin Newsom, dude. He's poison. He's never going to fucking be president, even though he thinks he is with his stupid fucking podcast. We'll talk about him later.
We did talk about his podcast last week. You said he had some real dickheads on his podcast already.
We'll
so,
get there, but
yeah.
because he had Bannon on.
Oh, okay.
And
I want
I
to hear about that.
Yeah, but I know this is sidetracking
It
from
is, kind of.
Vought,
Yeah,
but
sure.
like I feel like with this, we didn't need to be here, and it is it was theirs to lose.
Let's say that they've done all the right things. Well, let's forget about that. That's too much of a generic thing to say.
Yeah, sure.
Let's say that they'd groomed her well. Mm-hmm. And let's say that they only wanted Biden to run once. And let's say they improved her image. You think she wins as a result of that? I don't.
I think it's possible.
Trump crushed Kamala Harris in this election. He should have lost by a lot. I'm not even necessarily talking about amount of votes or percentage. I'm saying this is the stupidest, worst, shittiest, most racist candidate we've ever seen in the modern era, and he killed her in the election. He should have lost by double digits. So I guess this is what I'm saying. How do you mitigate crazy? How do you mitigate the Klan members that live in this country, right? I don't know how the Democratic Party mitigates that.
The hard part is that they've been putting together a propaganda machine since the 90s, since the 80s.
And it's working really well. So
yeah, I mean, we could really blame this on the fucking Australians. Goddamn Murdoch. I mean, that's a huge part of it. Murdoch and Ghislaine's dad, Maxwell, whatever.
In Succession, which is the HBO series, which is a thinly veiled series about the Murdoch family. It's about a fictional family, but
sure.
Brian Cox plays the lead. He plays a Murdoch character, right? Who's right wing and doesn't give a shit about humans or the environment. His brother in that series condemns him and abhors him and says the things you've done, the propaganda you have spread throughout the world, will almost certainly result in the end of the world. And so, like, how can I support you or love you when you've essentially wrecked this country or this world,
killed humanity?
So, yeah, kind of a little pet peeve of mine when you kill humanity.
Fuck.
So Vought, back to Vought real quick. Vought does believe in the separation of church and state in one direction. So he does not want the government messing with churches.
Oh,
he doesn't
sure.
want taxing them.
Yeah.
He believes it going one way. 100% does not believe it going the other way.
But I'm assuming that it's only certain churches.
Oh, of course, he didn't give a shit about Muslim churches.
I mean, and does he a lot of those Protestants think that the Catholics are Satan.
Well, and I think there's plenty of Christians that think Mormons are a cult as well.
Well, they are a cult, but I'm talking about like the Catholics in particular, just because there is a fairly large contingent of them.
Sure, but I mean, we need to define the word cult, right? I mean, because
so I guess yeah.
You know what I mean?
So does he back Mormons, or did you get into?
It's the thing. I can't find this stuff.
Yeah,
I looked and I looked and I looked.
Because
For as powerful as this guy is, there's almost nothing about him.
And it's because he's that powerful.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, Vought, basically, his intention is to make sure that all the roadblocks against Trump's oligarchy are gone, right? He wants to strip away regulations. He wants to strip away workers from these regulatory bodies, right? He sees them as out of control, power mad institutions that are here to restrict our freedoms. So, what can I say? That's pretty dark, but it's all true.
So,
and you want to keep doing this for a few more episodes?
Well,
you changing your mind already?
No, I mean, the thing about this is that, like, I know that there's people out there talking about the same stuff we're talking about.
Of course,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
But I do feel like we are kind of putting it all in one place and putting it into kind of a comprehensive kind of idea of influence and what that represents for us as a nation.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, having done this research, there's a few podcasts that'll have an episode about this.
Yeah.
but no one's really done a deep dive the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I hope we're helping. I hope
somebody
inform the
gets
electorate.
something out of this. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but what can we do?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't, both of our listeners.
So I'm sorry if that sounded threadbare.
Thanks, England.
That took a few hours, obviously, just to scrape that off the internet.
Yeah.
It took a lot of watching and reading.
So did he talk about what his next moves are, or is it just to take down the government as it is right now?
Keep chiseling away at these regulatory bodies, gonna make sure, the idea being, that the president isn't just a figure that's a component of government. The president is the government.
Yeah, it's all powerful. I mean, all these checks and balances that were put in the Constitution, they're trying to strip away.
Yes, they would say, and we talked about this quite a few episodes ago, these constitutional originalists or whatever some of these Federalist Society people, essentially their interpretation of the Constitution being this very strict and narrow Christian view of government.
What's interesting is that, doing some of this research, I've heard, actually I listened to a few different podcasts, but I hear these people coming on and they claim to be never Trumpers, but they are also originalists. And I don't.
Do you see that as incongruent?
I do kind of see that as being inconsistent.
I guess, so never Trumpers, but they're originalists. Well, I mean, I guess the thing is, right, you could, if you're a serious Christian, even a Christian nationalist, someone, extremely right wing, you could still see Trump as a big joke. Right, you could
he's a fucking moron. Jesus Christ.
Right, but there obviously we would agree there are intelligent Christians, and especially intelligent conservative Christians, and while some of them are willing to sell their souls to further their agenda, I'm guessing there are people who are not, who see this agenda being furthered by someone of more integrity, I guess.
I guess I should look into originalism a little deeper, because I just the whole concept to me is so fucking stupid. Like, it's just fucking stupid, right? I mean, the whole idea of a living constitution is something that adapts with the times. And these assholes are trying to interpret the fucking, Second Amendment, for instance, as having nothing, how would the the writers of the Constitution, how would they interpret this law with muskets? Well, it's pretty fucking straightforward. Well, how would they fucking do it with an AR-15? That's not so clear.
Right. Well, and if you look at Richard Dawkins, the famous atheist and scientist, would say that as the centuries progress, facets of the Bible that are barbaric are forgotten. Of course they are.
Right.
We don't stone people to death for not observing the Sabbath. That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
So many, many things have been stripped away from the Bible. Right. And maybe the Tradcast wouldn't like that, but many progressive and humanistic things have been essentially, have prevented the Bible's worst tendencies from, executing people for not. So to use that as far as the Constitution goes, right? Obviously, the Constitution being a living document that is able to move with the times, that is able to progress, before these originalists kind of became in power, it was working. The idea that black people should be able to own land and women should be able to own land, kind of a thing.
So obviously intended to be that way.
Yes.
Originalism is the living document.
Yeah.
These assholes fucking trying to interpret it with,
right.
Like, what would they think, right? What would they think in 1780 whatever?
Right.
Like, who gives a fuck?
Right? I would go on Twitter where right-wing morons would say the founding fathers would be shocked about this.
Yeah.
And I would always reply with the same thing. The founding fathers owned slaves and ate oyster ice cream. Like, maybe they didn't have as progressive a mindset or as an intelligent a brain as the modern human would.
All right, look, come on. Now you go. I want to try oyster ice cream. I don't even know what the fuck's going. What the fuck is going on here?
I don't know.
It's like eating it's like bubblegum ice cream, but occasionally there's like a snot thing in there. I don't know what that.
I can't even imagine. But I mean, I think the founding fathers were wise enough to understand that as society and the future progressed, that the document needed to be flexible, right? That it needed to absorb progress as it went along.
Yeah,
and it did.
It
for many years.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? You bummed out yet?
Well, I mean, I it's all fucked up. What we're doing, it's super fucked up.
It is.
But it's like, I also feel like it's kind of therapeutic in a way. But yeah, it's fucking rough.
So you find it therapeutic.
In a way I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of like, it allows me to kind of go over this stuff. I mean, with you, right? Sitting here talking about it in a way that I don't have to fucking tune into the goddamn news.
Yeah. I can't do that anymore.
No, it's rough.
Yeah. It is rough. So hopefully we'll be an oasis for people that don't, consume news every day.
Yeah.
So
I get this email, and it's like a few times. It's usually 4 or 5 times a week.
like a news email, or what is it?
Yeah, it's called "What the Fuck Just Happened," and the guy put it out during the first dumpster fire term.
Yeah.
Have you
Fuck me with fuckface first term.
Yeah, fuck you McFuckface.
No, tell me about it.
He basically just kind of documents everything, and like I followed it like all the way through. I've been reading that shit all the way through. This last election, I haven't been able to look at one. I haven't been able to look at one.
Oh, okay. So it was a thing that you consumed regularly.
Yeah,
during fuck you McFuckface's first term, but not
and
so
then
much
all the way
anymore.
through Biden and everything. But like, as soon as that fucking election went on, I was like, nah, I can't read this. Like I'll end up fucking stabbing a motherfucker.
Well, I mean, you and I, let's face it, when Trump got reelected, you and I are like, can we even do this anymore, this podcast? Like, can we even do this?
Brutal, man.
Yeah.
So we'll have to figure out direction where we're going.
We needed a refresh after that. So
yeah.
I do have a lovely quote to top things off.
Bring it.
Gustav Klimt, great artist, an Austrian artist, famous for some of his paintings being seized by Nazis.
Yeah.
Not a Jew, but had interesting to say about death. I wanted to read this to you. I hope death is like being carried to your bedroom when you were a child and fell asleep on the couch during a family party. I hope you can hear the laughter from the next room.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You remember that? Do you remember like being carried to your room or being carried into the house from the car when you were a kid?
Yeah. There's Paul Russ and Matt Gorley on their podcast talk about coziness.
Yeah.
Right? There's just these things about our childhood, movies.
Yeah.
Certain things with our parents, right, that are super cozy.
Yeah.
So just that comfort.
I remember, coming home, my parents would be driving home from a party or whatever, and we'd be in the back seat, and I'd fake being asleep to get carried in.
Aw. Oh, that's great. Well, I love that story. How old were you? I mean, maybe 7, 8, 9?
Oh, yeah, 7 or 8. Yeah. Yeah.
So you'd go home after a party. You'd be in the back seat.
Be in the back seat.
Just pretend to fall asleep. Oh,
yeah.
That's great. Well, I like that story. What a lovely way to end this podcast. All right, brother. Let's toast to bad dads, and I'll see you next week.
Bad dads and all they taught us.
All right, have a good one.
You too, brother. You have been listening to The Trivial Man. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can either call us at 415-484-8841 or send us an email at thetriviumpod@gmail.com.